Hello, everyone. Welcome to our next Cambly live stream. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. And once again, welcome to our latest Cambly live stream video lesson, where we will be exploring, as you can see here, phrasal verbs. So today, we're going to be diving into the exciting world of phrasal verbs. I like to say, and I like to think that phrasal verbs are like the hidden treasures in the English language. They add magic, they add color and depth to our conversations. So get ready today to level up your English skills and hopefully to also have some fun. I can see everyone's already messaging in the chat. Lovely. I want to see more messages in chat, please, people. Before we begin today's lessons, for those of you who have had a Cambly lesson with me, you know my usual check-in that I like to do. And I want to ask if you guys can see me, if you can hear me clearly. Please message me a thumbs up in the message or in the chat box, just so that I know that the connection is good. So I'm looking for some thumbs up if the video is good and if the sound is good. That way I know we're good to go. Whoa, all right, Irene, 5 thumbs up. That's a good sign. That means on Irene's side, it's looking good. All right, anyone else, please send through some thumbs up so I know that the video is good and the sound is good. That way we're ready to commence with today's lesson. Oh, wonderful. Okay, another 5 to 6 thumbs up from English and one from Nikhil. Excellent. That's a good sign for me. That means we're ready to start with today's class. So we're going to wait a few more moments. Thank you, Ishmael, for all the thumbs up. Keep letting me know, guys. If there's any issues, just let me know. So we're going to wait a few more moments before we begin with today's lesson, because we just want to make sure we've got all the people who wanted to join us for today's class. But before we begin, I'd like to introduce myself. So those of you who had class with me will know me already, but there might be some of you who haven't had a class from me. So let me introduce myself to you. My name is Yuri, and I'm from South Africa. I've lived in many countries all around the world. Maybe I've even lived in your country. I've lived in Thailand. I've lived in the Middle East. I've lived in Europe, in the UK. Maybe you guys are from one of these countries, somewhere in Asia, perhaps somewhere in the Middle East. But at this stage, I'm back in South Africa for about another year before I continue on my travels. I've also made many other videos for Cambly, so don't forget to check out the Cambly YouTube channel so you can see more of my videos and some of the other tutors here on Cambly. And if you guys want to make sure you don't miss any of our future Cambly live streams, I have pinned the link to the YouTube playlist for Cambly at the top. So guys, feel free to click on that link at the top so that you are always up to date on all the latest lessons that we are giving you guys for free. Okay, so as I've mentioned, that link is at the top, so don't hesitate to look at it and to click on it and to bookmark it. So before we begin, I'd like to invite you guys to perhaps tell us where you're from in the world, tell us your name, and maybe tell us what the weather is like. Looks like we have a few South Africans. Oh my goodness, this is wonderful. We've got Koos from Durban, we've got Henry from Pretoria. Welcome, fellow South Africans. It's wonderful to see some fellow South Africans here with us. We've got some people from Japan and Bangladesh. Tell us what the weather is like in your country, guys. Here in South Africa, where I'm from, it's cloudless skies, no clouds in the sky, beautiful and sunny, and during the day. It's quite warm here in winter. So I really enjoy winters here in South Africa. So Tanya, you're from Pakistan. We have Marie Faye Agnes from the Philippines. Hello, Marie, or Mary, sorry. We've got Irene from Nigeria, and she said it's been raining heavily. Who else? Marcelo from Brazil. Welcome, Marcelo. Como estás? That means hello, or how are you in Portuguese. The Czech Republic, we've got Maria, beautiful sunny weather. Thank you. Maria's told us what the weather is like. And Pimentel said the weather is very sunny in Sao Paulo. We've got Nickel from India, and it looks like there's so many of you guys joining us from all over the world. It's just so lovely to see so many people from all over the world excited to learn English. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So as I mentioned before, we're going to be exploring phrasal verbs today. Does anyone know what phrasal verbs are? Are you guys familiar with this English grammar or this English term? Do you know a little bit about it? Do you know nothing at all? Well, not to worry, because we're going to be covering exactly this today. So before we begin, I just want to give you guys a quick little reminder. If you guys need to leave early and you cannot experience the entire lesson today, don't worry, this is not a problem. These videos are all recorded and they're all saved on our Cambly YouTube profile. So once again, I have pinned the link to the playlist at the top. So you guys can always come back to this playlist. You can always watch videos again. If there's something you didn't understand and you want to make sure you understand it, you can go through it again. Or if you have to leave early, like I mentioned before, don't worry, it is recorded. You can come back and catch up where you left us. This is an option too. But if you guys can stay, please stay for today's entire lesson video so we can make sure you really understand the phrasal verbs that we're covering today, especially because these are phrasal verbs which you guys can use in your daily life, as it says there. All right? These are phrases that you will use all through the day, occasionally for various things. And therefore, to make sure you guys really understand this, I need to make sure you guys can stay for the entire length of today's video. All right. You are right, Stacy. Native English speakers do use a lot of phrasal verbs on a daily basis because we're so familiar with phrasal verbs, we just use it naturally. And if you are familiar with phrasal verbs, it'll be easy for you to understand native speakers because, as you say, we use phrasal verbs a lot. So let's begin. I'm going to take that one away and I'm going to bring up the definition because some of you might not know what a phrasal verb is. So I'm going to put it there. Might be a bit small, so I'll bring it closer in a moment. Okay. Thank you, Henry. All right. So what are phrasal verbs? Let me bring it closer so you can read it with me. All right. So phrasal verbs are made up of two or more words, with the first word being a verb and the second word usually being a preposition or an adverb. So let's make sure we understand what that means. So as mentioned, it's usually a verb followed by a preposition or an adverb. So let's just make sure you guys know what a verb is. Most of you should. A verb is an action word or a doing word, like run, jump. These are verbs. And a preposition is a word that tells us where something is in relation to another thing, like on, in, next to, over. So phrasal verbs normally combine those two words, a verb and a phrasal verb. And sometimes it could be an adverb. So let me give you guys an example, because sometimes it's easier to understand something when you have a sentence to look at and better understand it. So the phrasal verb I'm going to give you guys, so that you can better understand what phrasal verbs are, is the following. Fork over. So this is an unusual phrasal verb, but it is a phrasal verb nonetheless. And this is a phrasal verb we might normally use when it comes to money. So as you can see in red, we have the verb to fork. To fork something is to kind of give it over, or to if you use a fork when you're eating your food, you fork something, right? And over, you know what over means. That's the preposition. So when we use this phrasal verb together, to fork over, it means to give or to pay money reluctantly or unwillingly. That means you don't really want to give this money. It's money that you have to give, but you don't want to. As it says here, when you don't really want to give money, you fork it over. So here's a good example of a sentence that'll show you guys how to use this phrasal verb. I had to fork over some cash to fix my car. So that means this person had to give money to someone to fix his car, but he didn't really want to. He had to. So I had to fork over some cash to fix my car. So that is our first phrasal verb. Once again, this is a phrasal verb you'll probably use related to money. When you're talking about cash, when you're talking about money that you have to spend, you have to take that money and give it. You have to fork it over. Okay. Okay, Stacy, you feel the same way as I do. I don't like having to fork over any money. So I'm exactly the same as you in that regard. All right. So now you guys may have a better idea of what a phrasal verb is and what one can look like. So let's practice now by looking at a few more examples of phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs when it comes to money, because I'm on the theme of money today. And even though today we're doing phrasal verbs based on daily routines and things we do in your day, you always have to spend money. So Chanda asks, what we say if we're willing to give money? Ah, all right. Well, that's kind of what you're doing, Chanda. When you fork over, you are giving money. So it means exactly that. If you have to give money, you're saying, I need to fork over this money. It means I have to give this money to someone else. And remember, it means you're giving money. Oh, sorry, your question was if we're willing to give money. Ah, that's a good question. I can't think of a phrasal verb at this stage, which would mean when you want to happily give money. So I haven't prepared for that. So I can't think of one right now. But if anyone finds a phrasal verb that means giving money willingly, please put it down in the chat so that Chanda and I can be updated. So I'm going to continue with a few more phrasal verbs, guys, when it comes to phrases we're going to use when it comes to money, when it relates to money. So the next two are the following. All right, so Radhika says you had to fork over $10 for the park and the stadium. Yes, you had to give $10. You didn't really want to. You'd rather have gone for free. Okay. All right, so guys, here are the next two phrasal verbs we're going to cover. The first one is to save up. You guys might know this one. And the second one is to shell out. So let's go over each one individually, slowly, to make sure you understand. So to save up means to save money over time for a specific purpose. So if you have to save money for something, maybe for your studies, maybe for a new car, maybe for a new PlayStation, anything that you're saving money for means you are trying to collect more and more money until you can eventually pay for something. That's how we use save up. Okay, here's your example. I must save up for my vacation next year. So that means this person is saying they need to collect more and more money every day or every month until they have enough to go on their vacation. All right. So if any one of you have had to save up for something, feel free to include it in a sentence. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the next one, to shell out. So this is another money-related phrasal verb. To shell out means to spend or pay a lot of money for something. So this phrasal verb is very similar to fork out because it also means to give money. The difference is fork out means money you're giving that you don't really want to give. So maybe this is a good example of the question we had earlier from Chanda. If you need to give money and you don't mind, you say, I have to shell out money for this. That means you're happily giving money for something. Here's your example at the bottom. I had to shell out a lot of money. Oopsie, the last word is missing. I had to shell out a lot of money for my new, put any word there, for my new car, for my new apartment, for my new house, for my new pet, for my new girlfriend. All right. So to shell out means to spend or pay a lot of money for something. Again, very similar to the phrasal verb fork out. Okay. So someone wrote a sentence. She ended up shelling out for 2 rooms. Yes, very good. And Shab, I love how you changed the verb form into shelling out, because yes, we can sometimes change the form of the verb, which you have done phenomenally well. All right. So We've covered the first three. We've covered fork over, means to give money when you don't really want to. Okay, we've covered to save up. That means to collect more and more money as you're working over the months until you have enough money to buy something you want. And we have shell out, which is similar to fork out, except this time it's not unwilling. It means you're okay giving this money that you have to give for something. Okay, so let's move on to the final two phrasal verbs when it comes to money. And here they are. Okay, so the first one is splash out. And this means to spend a lot of money on something very expensive or fancy. And here's your example sentence. They splashed out on a fancy restaurant to celebrate her birthday. So they spent a lot of money on something very expensive, like a fancy restaurant. And then cut back. So cut back means to reduce your spending or expenses. That means to spend less money on something. So for example, I need to cut back on eating out at restaurants to save money. Okay. So to splash out, to spend a lot of money on something. To cut back is to spend less because maybe you're spending too much. So splash out. Let's see if I can think of more examples. They splashed out on an amazing party for my birthday. So maybe people spent a lot of money to make sure I had a good time on my birthday. Cut back. Ooh, we can also use cut back when we're talking about doing something less. So maybe I could say, I need to cut back on eating so much fatty food. I need to spend or do something less. So cut back is about money, but it can also be about things you want to do less in your life, like cut back on eating unhealthy food. But because today we're just covering money, let's use it for that. So I need to cut back on buying so much unhealthy food. There you go. You can use it in that way. Okay. So, okay, Chanda, inflation made me cut back on shopping. Yes, that is so true. I think all of you guys probably understand what Chanda is saying there, because inflation has impacted all of us in so many ways. We're having to spend so much more in life, so we have to start cutting back on those things we normally would spend money on so that we can have more money. And Radhika, she said, I'm going to splash out and buy a new Mazda CX-5. Great example of that sentence. Excellent, Radhika. Well done. So there you have it, guys. Those are the last two of our phrasal verbs when it comes to money. To splash out, to spend a lot of money on something fancy, to spend money on something expensive, and to cut back, to spend less on something because you don't have as much money. And Shab has got a nice sentence for us again. We're going to splash out and buy a new cycle or a new bicycle. At Pimentel, we had to cut back on traveling by car to reduce the gas station bill. Brilliant sentence, Pimentel. Love it. And Irene, the economy of the country doesn't allow me to splash out my graduation. Brilliant. I love it. You guys are doing so phenomenally well using these phrasal verbs. So when you guys can use these phrasal verbs in your everyday, with the way that you are speaking with other native speakers, you sound so much more native. It's much easier for people to think, this person's English is good. All right, so there we have it. We've covered all the phrasal verbs when it comes to money. Now, before we continue to the next set of phrasal verbs, I just want to remind you guys, before we cover the other phrasal verbs, that if you guys were late, if you joined the class late today, or if you're unable to stay for today's entire video, remember, you guys can rewatch this video. It's being recorded. Just check the top of the chat. The link to our playlist is pinned there. So if you ever want to come back, watch other videos, or if you want to watch a video you couldn't watch in its entirety, not to worry. We are always here for you. All right, let's see. What did Stacy say? I know I should cut back on drinking coffee. Well done. Yes, I think that's something we all need to do. Let's see. What did Ngabame say? I cut back after splashing for my birthday. Oh, okay. You almost got that right. Good try. You try to use both. I like that. I have to cut back on spending after splashing out for my party. Remember to splash out. Well done on trying to come up with a sentence to use both. That's impressive. Okay, so we've covered the 5 phrasal verbs when it comes to money. Now I want to challenge you guys. We're going to do a little exercise. Now, I want to see if you guys can find the correct phrasal verb for these sentences. I'm going to give you 5 sentences, and I'm going to ask you guys to correctly tell me which phrasal verb is the correct one to use in these sentences. So let me change the page quickly. Now, let me write down the phrasal verbs so you guys know which phrasal verbs we're going to use. Okay, so the first one is, let me just make sure I get them all right. Okay, we have save up. To save up means to collect enough money so that you have enough money to buy something you want. We have fork over. That means that you're giving money over that you don't really want to give. We have shell out. To shell out is similar to fork over, but again, it means to give money, maybe a little bit happier when you're doing it. We have splash out. And to splash out means to spend lots of money on something that you want to spend on, something mostly expensive. And then we have cut back. I'll write cut back over here. And cut back's kind of the opposite of splash out, because to cut back means to start spending less because you don't have as much money to spend, as someone mentioned earlier, because of inflation. Okay, so I'm going to show you the 5 sentences. Each sentence has a number next to it, so I want you to write number 1 and then just write the phrasal verb that you think goes in that sentence. Okay, you don't have to write anything more than that. Here's the first sentence. I had to something, a lot of money for the concert tickets I went to yesterday. So who thinks they know? They're your possible answers. I had to save up. I had to fork out. I had to fork over. I had to shell out. I had to splash out. Or I had to cut back. All right. So someone said I had to save up. I had to save up a lot of money for the concert tickets I went to yesterday. That's not wrong. You could totally say that. Yeah. All right. Chanda said I had to splash out a lot of money for the concert tickets I went to yesterday. You can say that too, because you had to spend money. So save up and splash out are both technically correct. Okay, you can also say, I had to shell out. Okay, so we're going to say number 1 is shell out. So I'm going to put a number 1 over there. You guys weren't wrong because you could use those phrasal verbs. But for number 1, we're going to say it's shell out. Well done. Okay, Ming Hong, well done. I had to shell out a lot of money for the concert ticket I went to yesterday. Okay, let's try number 2, guys. Every month, I try to, what? Some money for a new car. Okay, yes, Chanda. Well done. He got it. Marta, excellent. Ah, you guys got this one super quickly. That's right. So number 2 is save up. Okay. I had to save up. Make sure you guys can see it. Yes. All right, so every month I try to save up some money for a new car. All right, let's try number 3. Number 3, my friend promised to something, some cash for the movie tickets. My friend promised to, something your friend has to do that maybe he doesn't want to do. My friend promised to what? Some cash for the movie tickets. Very good, Mehong. Fork over. Yes, Pimentel. Number 3 is fork over. So we'll put a 3 over there. Okay. So number 3 is my friend promised to fork over some cash for the movie tickets. Means he paid. He didn't really want to pay. But if he's going to enjoy the movies, he needs to pay as well. Okay, well done, Luan. Yes, it's fork over. Jennifer, excellent. Okay, let's do number 4, guys. They decided to something on a fancy dinner to celebrate their anniversary. They decided to what? A fancy dinner. That sounds expensive. So which option do you think it is? If they want to go to a restaurant that's very fancy? Very good. Excellent, guys. So they decided to splash out on a fancy dinner to celebrate their anniversary. So splash out is number 4, which means there's only one left. That's an easy one. Number 5. In order to save money, I need to what? On eating out at restaurants. Cut back. Anytime it's about saving money, it's cut back. Okay, excellent. You guys are good. I love this. You guys are doing a great job showing me you really fully understand these phrasal verbs. And I look forward to hearing from you guys in some of our future videos where you tell us how you've used these phrasal verbs when you are talking to someone in English. Okay, so let's rub those ones out because we don't need them anymore. We're going to move on to some new phrasal verbs. Okay, so the next bunch of phrasal verbs, look at you guys. You guys are amazing. I love it. You're answering, you're excited, you're full of energy. That's how you learn. You learn when you're having fun. You learn when you're excited, and it's easier to remember it too. Okay, guys, so here are our next bunch of phrasal verbs. These are phrasal verbs we would also use every day in a daily day during basic daily things. You guys are probably going to know the first one. Pretty easy. Wake up. You probably know the second one too. It's pretty easy to get dressed. But you might not be familiar with this one, to brush up on. You might not be familiar with the fourth one, to settle in. And you might not be familiar with to wind down. So we're going to cover these ones quickly. All right, the first one, I'm not going to spend too much time on because I think most of you should know, right? To wake up is to get out of bed, right? To stop sleeping and to become awake. Your sentence example, I usually wake up at 7 a.m. every weekday. That's an example of how you would use to wake up. So again, I think this one's pretty easy. Schaub said, I made myself a strong wake-up coffee and called them. Sure, you can use it in that way. Absolutely. Okay. So he's saying he made himself a strong coffee that woke him up because he was probably still sleeping when he got out of bed. All right. So like I said, that's an easy one. And I'm guessing most of you understand that. If you guys all understand that, just give me a thumbs up so I can move on to the more difficult ones. Okay. Okay. No way, Pierre. Don't worry. We got only these 4 to go, and then we're going to practice them. Okay. Thank you, Shab, and thank you, Jennifer, for the hand wave. We're going to move on to some of the easier ones. Okay. Get dressed. That one's also quite easy, I think. So to get dressed means to put on your clothes. That's it. So, for example, she gets dressed quickly every morning. That means she puts on her clothes very quickly every morning. And the third one is to brush up. So this one might be one you didn't know. To brush up means to review or improve one's knowledge or skills in a particular area. What does that mean? That means to practice something so that you are better at it. So if you brush up on something, it means you practice it so that you are good at it. So you can brush up on your mathematics if you're going to do a mathematics test. You can brush up on your English skills if you have to talk to someone in English. It means you have to practice your English. Here's your sentence example. I need to brush up on my English before my trip to America. That means this person has to practice their English before they go to a country where people speak English because they're going to have to use English. So brush up means to practice something more and more so you're better at it. Okay. So wake up, easy, get out of bed and wake yourself up so that you can start your day. To get dressed, easy, to put your clothes on to begin your day. And brush up, to practice something so that you're better at it because you're going to have to use it for something. Okay, let's move on to our final 2 phrasal verbs for today. And then we're going to finish off today with some exercises and some games just to reinforce your understanding to make sure you guys really understand it and we can fix it in your minds so that next time you're speaking with someone, you remember them and you use it correctly. So the next 2, to settle in and to wind down. Let's do that one quickly. Okay, settle in. This means to become comfortable in a new place or a situation. Here's your sentence example. It took a few days to settle in after moving to a new city. So it just means it took a few days to get comfortable with this new place. Okay. So this one should be pretty simple as well. All right, Nadia, let me just read what you're saying. I need to brush up on coding before becoming a professional programmer. Amazing. That is a great example of using that phrase. But let's continue with the ones we're doing. Settle in, to be comfortable with something that's new, and to wind down means to relax and to unwind. To unwind means to relax. So, for example, I like to unwind, or sorry, I like to wind down by reading a book before bed. Ignore a trip to America, that shouldn't be there. But I like to wind down by reading a book before bed. So I like to relax by reading a book before bed. Some people like to watch a movie to wind down after a busy day's work. Some people like to lie in the sun and relax and wind down by relaxing in the sun. Okay, so to wind down means to relax. Okay. That's right, Irene. To wind down is the same as to unwind. Those two things mean exactly the same. Stacy wrote, I have to brush up on my English to go on a working holiday to Canada. Exactly. So let's go over the last two. To settle in is to start becoming comfortable with something that's new, that you're not comfortable yet with. And to wind down is to slowly relax by doing something to get there. Okay, now, like we did before, I'm going to give you guys 5 sentences, and I'm going to challenge you guys to try to write the correct phrasal verb for each of these sentences. So first things first, let me write down the daily routine phrasal verbs so you can see them, and then I'm going to show you the sentences. But before I do, I'd like to read some more sentences. Settling in on one workplace may make us dull. That's true. Schaub said, I regularly have a drink to wind down. That's true. Many people do. Many people do have an alcoholic beverage, which helps them to relax after a busy day's work. All right, so once again, let me write down the phrasal verbs we're going to use for the exercise for the daily routine phrasal verbs. So the first one was get dressed. To get dressed is to put your clothes on. That one's easy. I think everyone should know that one. To settle in, okay, that's to become comfortable with something new that you've just started exploring. Maybe if you move to a new city, if you start a new job, it takes you a few days to settle in. The next one is wind down, which we just did. To wind down means to relax. And we have wake up. We did that one as well. That one's pretty easy. It's to get out of bed. It's to wake yourself up because you've been sleepy. And then the last one was to brush up on. And to brush up on is to practice something that might be new to you so you get better at it because you're going to have to use this new skill. Okay, here are your 5 sentences. You know how this works. Sentence number 1. I usually something at 7 a.m. on Monday to Friday. What do you think that one could be? I usually something at 7 a.m. on Monday to Friday. Yes, it's easy. I usually wake up on 7 a.m. Monday to Friday. Okay, so that one's easy. That's number 1. So we'll put it over there. All right, let's move on to sentence number 2. So all of you guys are getting that right. Phenomenal. Let's move on to a slightly harder one. She needs to something quickly for the important meeting. She needs to something quickly for the important meeting. What do you guys think? She needs to what? Quickly for the important. Okay, so Kawunda said, you could say wake up. That's not wrong. She needs to wake up quickly for the important meeting. That's not wrong. You could say wake up, yeah. But the correct answer was get dressed. That's the one we were looking for. She needs to get dressed quickly for the important meeting. Okay, so let's put a 2 next to get dressed. Although, again, you could have said wake up. That's not wrong. All right, number 3. I should something on my English skills before the exam. Number 3, I should something on my English skills before the exam. What do you think? I should what on my English skills before the exam? Brush up on. Yes. Brush up on. I should brush up on my English skills before the exam. I should practice my English skills before the exam. So brush up on will be 3. Okay. Number 4. It took them a few days to something after moving to the new house. It took them a few days to something after moving to the new house. So there's only 2 left. It can only be settle in or wake up. So it took them a few days to settle in, exactly, to feel comfortable in the new house. Well done. Excellent. Hey, there's someone with my name. Yuri Zono. Hello, Yuri. Well done. Excellent job. Okay. And that means the last one can only be wake up because it's the last answer left. Okay. So the last answer is before bed, I like to what? Wake up by reading a book? I guess you could say that. All right. So before bed, I like to wake up by reading a book. Okay. You could say wind down. That's actually what it is. It is wind down, isn't it? Oh, hold on. That's right. It is wind down. Sorry, guys. I put the one next to the wrong one. One was wake up. Who picked that up? Well done. Who was first? It was Marta. Good job, Marta. And Kuanda. Excellent. Yes, guys. Sorry about that. Number 5 is wind down. Before bed, I like to wind down by reading a good book. Okay. You guys are amazing. You guys have really, I love your enthusiasm. I love how much you guys are giving us answers and answering as quickly as you can. Sometimes some people make mistakes. That's okay. It's the best way to learn. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's the only way you get better at things. Don't be afraid to speak to people in English. It's the best way to get better at English. Okay. And now you guys can all use phrasal verbs correctly. And every day when you're doing these kind of things, these daily routines, when you're dealing with money, you can use these phrasal verbs when you're talking with other people in English. Because, well, we have to buy things every day, so we have to use money. We have to do these things every day, get dressed, wake up, wind down, settle in, brush up on, okay? Because these are daily routines, okay? All right, Chanda, I don't have any more phrases for you guys today. I don't want to do too many because for some people, sometimes more than 10 is too much for them to remember. So I want to make sure it's just enough to ensure all of you guys can remember at least all these 10. But we're not done yet because we've got one more fun exercise. So let me just erase this before we do our final exercise. So our final game for today, guys, is I'm going to give you guys 5 sentences. Here's a list of all the phrasal verbs we've covered today, okay? There are some of the ones about money, and there's some of the ones with daily routines. These are all the phrasal verbs we've covered today. I'm going to give you guys 5 sentences, only 5. And I want to see if you can tell me which phrasal verbs go in each of these sentences. So we're only going to use 5 of these. We're not going to use all of them. All right, guys? It's our final exercise just to make sure that what we've learned today gets stuck in that brain and is harder for you to forget it. So let's start with our first sentence. Are you guys ready? Give me a thumbs up just to make sure I'm not going too fast. All right. I'm glad you guys are enjoying the class. All right. Yes, Chanda says yes. Okay, Chanda's ready. Give me one more thumbs up or one more yes. Okay, thumbs up. Excellent. I love it. Mehong just wrote thumbs up. Brilliant. Okay, guys, here's your first sentence. Those are the phrasal verbs you get to choose from. Let me put that a little bit higher so it's easier for you guys to see. So your first sentence is here. Before the trip to France, I need to what? My French language skills. Number 1. Before the trip to France, I need to what? My French language skills. Which one? Before the trip to France, I need to, yes, brush up on. Don't forget, guys, it's brush up on. You must add the on as well. So I need to brush up on my French language skills. This is a great sign, guys. You guys are doing a great job of remembering. Unless you're very clever and you're writing the stuff down, a good way to remember. Okay, everyone's getting it right. So let's move on to the next one. Number 2. After a long day at work, it's important to take some time to what and relax. After a long day at work, it's important to take some time to something and relax. To what and relax? Yes, there you go. To wind down. So our answer for number 1 was brush up on. Our answer for number 2 was wind down. So after a long day at work, it's important to take some time to wind down and relax. Good job, guys. Last 3 sentences. So far, you've all got 2 out of 2. Can we make it 5 out of 5? Okay. Number 3. Here we go. This one might be a little bit more difficult. In order to reach my financial goals, I have decided to something on unnecessary expenses. This is a harder sentence. Okay, so take your time with this one. In order to reach my financial goals, I've decided to something on unnecessary expenses. Unnecessary expenses means things you don't want to spend money on anymore. Okay, so yes, well done. The correct answer is cut back. So in order to reach my financial goals, I've decided to cut back on unnecessary expenses. So number 3 is cut back. Okay. Brilliant, guys. 2 more to go. You guys have got 3 out of 3. Let's see if we can make it 4 out of 4. Oh, someone said cut down. Sure. Yeah, you're not wrong. You can say cut down. Okay. Yes, you guys are right. Irene and Chanda, you can say cut down. In order to reach my financial goals, I've decided to cut down on unnecessary expenses. Absolutely. You can say cut back. You can say cut down. That's absolutely fine. Okay, number 4, guys. I'm something for a new laptop so that I can buy it next month. Now it's I'm, so we're going to have to change the form of the verb. We're going to have to change the form of the verb. You guys are getting it right, but see if you can change the form of the verb. I'm something for a new laptop so that I can buy it next month. I'm is short for I am. There we go. Betelf got it. Marta got it. You got to change save to saving. So you guys all got it right. Chanda got it as well. So I'm saving up for a new laptop so that I can buy it next month. So saving up is number 4. And our last sentence. Let's see if you guys can get it to make it 5 out of 5. Number 5. They decided to something on an expensive holiday to New York to celebrate their wedding. They decided to something on an expensive holiday to New York to celebrate their wedding. So if it's expensive, it means you have to use a lot of money. What's the word that means to spend a lot of money? You guys got it. Splash out. Amazing. You guys have done phenomenally well. And I'm super proud of you guys. You guys are hard workers. You don't mind making mistakes and giving it a try. Best way to learn is to try. There's no such thing as a stupid question. No such thing. If it's something you don't know the answer to, ask. Okay? Someone said splurge out on. Well done. That is another phrasal verb we can use. To splash out or to splurge out means the same. So excellent job on giving us an additional phrasal verb for those people who wanted more. Okay. So guys, that is it for today. We have reached our obligatory 45 minutes. That means obligatory means what we have to do. We have to do 45 minutes. You're welcome, Chanda. Thank you for joining us. And make sure to connect on my next live stream in about a month's time. I'm not sure what we're going to do yet, but I'll try to make it as fun as today's class was. Shab has said sleep in. That isn't one we've done, but yes, to sleep in is a good phrasal verb. It means to wake up late. When you're not waking up early, you're sleeping in. Irene, you are most welcome. Thank you for the kind words. So guys, thank you for joining us. It's always lovely to see so much energy in the chat and to see so many students who are eagerly learning new English. And if you guys don't know Cambly, then remember this, guys. Cambly is a website where you can get access to friendly native English speakers like me, where you can learn English and you can take English lessons anytime, anywhere, using your phone or from your computer. So if you guys want, join Cambly. You can schedule an English lesson with me or with any of our amazing tutors. And all you need to do is just check the link below in the description of this video. And you guys, if you guys join using this promotional code, go live, it has to be in all caps, so all big letters. If you guys use that, you'll get 36% off your subscription. So if you haven't joined on Cambly yet, guys, do so now, and you will super speedily improve your English so that you can get to the level of English you want as quickly as possible. So before we leave, if anyone wants to put any final messages, I'll do some call outs. Shab has gotten thumbs up and claps. Thank you. Thank you, Shab. Thank you, Kalapine. Have a nice day too. Jennifer, you're most welcome. Thank you for joining us. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And Kalipan has rejoined on Cambly. Amazing. Thank you for rejoining, Kalipan. I'm glad to hear it. Irene, thank you, beautiful. It's always nice to have wonderful heart emojis. Radhika, you're welcome. Meryl, hello. And Kawanda, you're most welcome. I'm so glad that you enjoyed the lesson, Kawanda. Shab, goodbye. And Fasika, thank you. And you have a nice day too. One final one, Paul from South to Sudan. Your answer is wind down. I'm not sure for which one, but I'm sure it's correct. And yes, Kalipana, I'll see you on Cambly. Guys, that's it for me. I have to love and leave you. That is a phrase that we say too, to love and leave. Means to appreciate someone, but to have to go. And that's where we're at. Guys, thank you so much. I can't do any more call outs. Otherwise, I'll be here the whole day. Until next time, guys, have a beautiful, beautiful remainder to your Sunday. And I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.